Listen now of a time long past when sorcery thrived and wild adventure was forever in the offing.
Hey everybody, it's the Canon Cruisers. I'm JD.
And I'm Randy.
And today we're talking about a non-canon film called The Sword and the Sorcerer from 1983?
Yes. 1982, originally released April 23rd, 1982. Directed by Albert Pyun.
Oh, yes.
Written by Albert Pyun as well as Tom Karnowski and John V. Stuckmeyer.
Oh, boy. And this was a surprise hit from the early 80s and one of the first sword and sorcery movies to make it big. So
before we get started, just to let you know, the plot is oddly complex. So I'm just going to give you a taste of it from the Wikipedia of what the plot is.
It's a bit difficult to condense.
Yeah, the film opens. The film opens as King Cromwell, played by Richard Lynch, and his men land ashore of Tomb Island in search of Zeusia of Delos, played by Richard Mole, a long-dead sorcerer who may be the key to overthrowing his rival King Richard, whose land of Edan is the richest in the world. Using one of Zeusia's worshippers to awaken him, Cromwell convinces Zeusia to join his cause.
Long story short, what ends up happening is the demon sorcerer ends up going a bit haywire and causing all kinds of problems, and our hero has to dispatch him in a long string of events that, I don't really want to describe because it not only gives away the whole movie, it's a long description. It's not a long movie, but the plot's a bit hard to condense into words.
Yeah, it's not complex, but there's a lot going along, and it can be a little hard to follow. Some other things before we play the trailer is
cast.
The cast. So it's like, as I said, we've already told you about our main antagonists, Richard Mole as Zeusia and Richard Lynch as Titus Cromwell. But our main protagonist is going to be Prince Talon, played by Lee Horsley,
the man with 3 swords.
Don't get me started on his swords. Kathleen Beller as Princess Alana, and Simon McCorkindale as Prince Micah, her loser brother. Jeez. I call him a loser because he's constantly being captured.
He's constantly losing.
He's more of a damsel than she is, but she gets caught just as much as him.
Well, it is a sword and sorcery film. And with that, let's play you a clip from the trailer.
Yes, the trailer.
A deadly sorcerer is called out of nightmare by a ruthless king driven into evil. And a mystical sword is forged for a mighty warrior who rises out of legend to topple a kingdom. The Sword and the Sorcerer.
And we're back.
So, time for general impressions.
Well, as you kind of got a taste of it previously, it's kind of a mess plot-wise. It's like there's a lot going on.
A lot going on for a short movie.
It's 100 minutes long. It's
about an hour and a half.
The movie literally, the plot... No, not the plot. It only kind of picks up about halfway through the movie. The first half of the movie is really dull.
It's a lot of setup.
And it's too much setup, if you will. And introducing characters. It's like I literally did not pick up characters' names until now. It's like I picked up faces but not character names. Overall impression of the film wasn't great on the outset. Action was kind of but then you get to the halfway point and things start to pick up and start to snowball because they less talking, less exposition, a little bit more action, but not much. The action's a little bit more clearer, and it's heading towards its end game at that point. It's my impression. Yeah,
it feels like an independent movie with major studio backing, which it technically was at the time. It was one of the most successful fantasy films of the 80s, and one of the most successful independent films of the 80s that was distributed by a major studio.
So what was your impression of the film?
My impression, I enjoyed it a lot. I like sword and sorcery films as it is, but I hadn't seen this one before. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to cover this one. And I'm glad I did, because I enjoyed it probably a little bit better than you. I do think it has its issues.
A little bit better than me?
I do think that has its issues, but I did enjoy the entire film. And I especially like the, we'll get to that in in a few seconds because now we're talking about highlights.
Yeah, the highlight, like I said, is that turning point of the film. There's this really good sequence right literally at 50 minutes where it's a good mixture of action, a little bit of comedy, and it just kind of really gets rolling for the first time in this whole film.
Feels like an 80s action film at that point.
No, not even an 80s action film. It just feels like a competent fantasy film at that point. It feels like, okay, it's like we're hitting the minimum of what these type of films usually are, and maybe exceeding that minimum a little bit more than what the rest of the movie has been.
I don't know if there were those things at that time, though. This was one of the early ones, so it might have been the first one.
But you know what I mean? It's like it's hitting the bare minimum of what needs to be hit. Maybe establishing. It's like I had read you that list earlier. There actually were movies that came out before this. It's just that none of them pop off the top of your head when you think of them.
No, you'd be surprised the amount of 80s fantasy movies there are compared to what the impression is of how many there were.
So yeah, my highlight of the film is that initial rescuing of Prince Micah, the escape sequence, and the battle between Titus and Cromwell and Talon before Talon's captured. Oh, yeah. That's that whole like 5 to 10 minute scene there is my highlight of the film.
I enjoyed every scene with Talon and Cromwell in it together, honestly. I thought they clashed well against each other, and every single time there was an action sequence, it usually revolved around the two of them. Especially near the end when, spoiler obviously, the demon sorcerer is not that hard to dispatch, but they get into a battle, Cromwell and Talon, and it's quite good. I enjoyed every action sequence the two of them.
Would that be your highlight of the film, is the action sequences, or just that ending little joke where literally the demon is taken down in one shot?
Demon I enjoyed for most of the film, but he wasn't my highlight. I just enjoyed every scene with the hero and the villain because I thought they really set the stage. They really set the tone for the movie. The movie wasn't as good as when they weren't there. Either one of them, in my opinion.
The lowlights now.
Now it's time for your lowlights. So get it off your chest, Randy.
The acting was awful. Really bad. There's scenes where it's like I noticed at some point the actors just stare at each other and they never blink. And they will deliver the most wooden delivery of lines ever. Like, I can't, it's like, and the lines are so unmemorable. I can't quote anything out of this movie. It's like, as JD will know, I'm still quoting Schizoid. I'm still quoting New Year's Evil. I'm quoting The Apple. I can't remember a single line from this film. So, other than the acting, characters, like, overall, other than your main two of Cromwell and Talon, I don't like any. Well, actually, I like the guy from Murphy Brown, but he's usually good in whatever movie he's in, even including Schizoid.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it was the acting. The actors weren't very good. The story was, like I said, it was a muddle. The first half of the movie, the setup didn't work out for me. It's not a pacing issue. It's just that it wasn't well set up, and it detracts from it when it does pick up in the back half of the film. Yeah. So my main low light is the acting.
Yeah. Mine would probably be the pacing because, as you already said before, it takes a while to get going. And I think the setup could have been handled a bit better.
Yeah,
it takes a while.
Like, I literally had no investment in the characters. I didn't like anybody. I kind of liked Talon, but Talon was an ass. He's barely likable. It's not even that. It's not even one of those the trope or the archetype of the likable rogue. He's just not very likable.
I don't know. I liked him.
I kind of liked Cromwell more than him, which is weird. But Cromwell was just evil.
Cromwell was just an evil jerk. He was good at it. That's why I liked him too. That's why I liked the two of them. But I'm not sure what my full impression of the movie is because this feels more like a type of movie I would have to watch multiple times. Not so that I understand it or anything, but just so that I grow to like it. Because I like it now, but I'm pretty sure I would like it more because I usually enjoy these types of movies more the more I watch them. Which would lead into my score, which is I give it a 3 out of 5.
I'm gonna put it up there with our Schizoids and our New Year's Evils and give it a 2 because it's better than The Apple.
Well, it's also not a musical.
Yeah, but everything's better than The Apple. But yeah, I didn't like the movie. I like these type of things. I did not like this. I did not hate it, but because it got competent at the end. But I can't say, oh man, it's okay. This isn't like it's okay. This is kind of like. It was not that good, or more like it's okay.
It played on television like on a Sunday afternoon. Would you watch it?
I like that has become my criteria. Is this a Sunday afternoon? Is this a Last Action Hero with commercials sort of thing?
Well, it's a different type of situation.
It's Sunday afternoon. I might do it while cleaning house, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like, I might literally put it on as background noise, but I would be constantly going, "What's going on?" Like, yeah, it's maybe it's not
it's not a Princess Bride, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not a Princess Bride. It's not even a what was the House of Long Shadows. It's not a good it's not a good Sunday afternoon movie. Mm-hmm. Because those are the type of movies where it's like you can jump in and out and still get an idea of what's going on. This movie is not easily followable.
So it's one you'd have to invest in. Basically.
You actually have to have an investment in it, but it's not interesting enough for me to be fully invested in it.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Yeah, I think that's how that's become a criteria where it's like, is this a good Sunday afternoon cheapy? Like, I'm going to watch this while it's on TV because it's there.
It helps gauge a rating and an impression, I think, a bit better if you're not sure.
If it's between this and golf, like, I might watch it. This more than golf.
Most people probably would. And, so that's it for this new episode of Canon Cruisers, non-canon edition.
The non-canonical adventures of JD and Randy.
I'm not calling it that. You can call it that if you want. I will not call it that.
I call it that because I'm the one that has the naming privileges on our SoundCloud page and in our RSS feed.
Not on the blog, though. I will just call it what I want to call it.
Tune in next week as we watch something else.
It probably won't be non-canon movie.
Yeah,
we don't know when this one's going up exactly, but it's safe to assume we're not going to be airing non-canons one after the other. So until next time, I'm JD.
And I'm Randy. And keep cruising that catalog of juicy titles.
Canon films and non-canon films, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Keep cruising that 80s catalog. Actually, would be a good one.
Yep. Bye-bye.
I'm not waving. Bye. Damn it!
Dungeons and dragons, serpents and splendor, wizards and witches, danger and desire. And the mightiest of all heroes, in the greatest of all adventures, the sword and the sorcerer.